Hello and welcome to this episode of the Let's Talk About It All podcast. On this episode, I have two of my best friends and running partners, Alci and Smin. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about the majors and how they got started running and all of that stuff. Guys, welcome to the show.
Carlos, thank you for having us here.
Carlos, thank you so much for having us.
Are we going to talk about Ohio or we're just going to talk about the majors?
Let's talk about the majors.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to remember about Ohio. Let's talk about the majors.
Well, that was a good lesson learned. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's good for you to talk about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about the fun stuff, not the suffering.
And one thing, if whoever's listening to the show or watching the show, if you guys didn't see what happened in Ohio, go see the episode that we talked about Ohio, so you know what happened and why the guys don't want to talk about it. So let's start here with, I think Alci has been running longer than Smin, right? So let's start with Alci. Alci, when did you start running? How? And how was the little progression when you say, okay, let me give it a try? And from that point on, okay, I like running. And
So I guess my story started like everybody. Pretty much, obviously, doing the 30-minute, 3 miles workouts, do a run, go out there, then go to the gym, or vice versa. Since I was little, running a marathon, always seen something that again is something that I wanted to accomplish, something that isn't out of reach. It seems like there was a lot of work to be put into it, but it was always something behind my mind. What ended up happening was maybe in 2018, a friend of mine was signing up to do a half marathon.
okay.
And that half marathon was the Staten Island half. He told me about it. He said, listen, I'm going to do this run. And again, it's always in the back of your mind, like, yes, I want to do a half marathon. I want to do a marathon. And in this specific occasion, it was 6 weeks away. And I asked him, you think I'll be able to do it? Can I train for a half marathon in 6 weeks? And he said, of course you can. And immediately I started searching for things online. Mind you, I never ran more than 5 miles in my life. I started searching for things online, and surely enough, you find everything online. How to train for a half a marathon in 6 weeks. And I did stick to the plan as much as I can. I would say 90% of a plan, I stuck to it. I kept it up, and it was an amazing experience. That was 2018. I managed to complete the Staten Island half, got my medal, was really excited, couldn't stop talking about it. But then one thing that happened to a lot of us is that I completely stopped running. I was completely beat up, and I kept that in back of my mind. Yes, I want to go and run another race, but nothing happened. Some friend of mine sent me a message, hey, I could get you into the New York City half. And say again, 6 weeks before, let's go for it. I signed up for those New York City half, and I did the same thing again.
So you started, your first official race was a half right away.
That was my first official race. That is correct.
Wow. Smin, how about you?
Oh, so different.
I know the story, but
Yeah, I know you know your story. I know you know the story.
And by the way, I told him that he was crazy. Full disclosure.
So when did I run?
I try to protect him, by the way. And
Well,
he decided to jump
But
in head
that's
first.
that's fast forwarding though. The story you know.
All right.
So I met Carlos, right? At one of my jobs before when I first met Carlos. And I know Carlos used to do, the running and the obstacle
The Spartan races at
Spartan
that
races
time,
and
yeah.
things like that. He used to, invite me, hey, why don't you come and join me? It's gonna be so much fun. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know, because what I used to do back then was just, work out at the gym, like any regular person. So Carlos tried to convince me. He did convince me though. I signed up for that what is it, just stadium, Met Stadium?
Yes. The
That
City
race,
Field,
the City Field.
Yes.
And I signed up for that. But I don't know what happened. I
I
didn't
don't
make
remember.
it.
Yeah, I can't.
I didn't make it. I canceled. because I had to do something, whatever. I mean, I was gonna go, but you know,
It's called alcohol. Just remember that.
so I didn't do that. So then, you know, fast forwarding, the pandemic came, right? And I was working from home. There was a lot of pressure, you know, at work. We used to work long hours. So I'm like, man, you know what? I need something that can give me that, you know, that peace of mind, that could, you know, take some stress, you know, away. And I'm like, yeah, but working out is not doing it for me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start walking. So there was nobody outside. I started walking, and I'm like, this is becoming boring. Like, I gotta do something else. So then I went online and I looked up this guy that he was like, you know, giving people tips and things like that. And he was okay. So because I was also gaining weight.
Right.
So that he was like, okay, so.
Because of the inactivity due to the pandemic.
Correct.
Right.
Long hours. Remember, we're
sitting down.
Down all day.
Yep.
Getting on at 8 o'clock in the morning, 10, 11, we're still on. So it was, you know, it was terrible. So long story short, the guy said, you could do 20 minutes in the treadmill. You do 1 minute walking, 1 minute sprinting. So I started doing that in my basement. So I was sweating and getting into the rhythm. I'm like, oh, I like this. And I went down so much. Like I lost like maybe like 10 or 15 pounds.
Right. So you started running a couple of, you know, 5Ks here and there from the basement, then outside. What was your first official race?
So I got a crazy friend named Carlos, the shark. We used to bike around, and one time he said, Smin, so me and my friend, you know, Antonio, shout out to Antonio, he knows who he is. We're gonna do this, you know, this run. You know, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like 30 or 34 miles. You know, you can come in the bike.
That's me trying to protect you.
Yes, trying to protect me. You can come in the bike. And I said to him, come in the bike. You guys are running. I'm gonna come in the bike. I was feeling like he was trying to play me out, and I'm like, no, that's not happening. I'm gonna run with you guys. He said, are you sure? You haven't even trained for this? And I said, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'll take an Uber.
He didn't know about blisters, guys.
Yeah, I didn't know about blisters.
He did not.
I did not. So that's how I started. I ran it with Carlos. Obviously, there was a lot of walking, a lot of blisters.
Yep.
I couldn't even, you know, come up the stairs when I came home. But it was a hell of a experience.
You were happy that you did it.
I am so happy. Absolutely.
So jumping a little bit ahead.
And guys, just full disclosure, there was no medal for that either.
No.
It was literally an ultra without rewards.
Well, actually,
I did print it out a laser.
Carlos printed out a 3D, you know,
a laser printer.
A laser printer.
Yeah.
So I still have it.
So jumping a little bit ahead, and we may jump back. But Alci, what was your first? I think I know the answer for both of you, and probably not me, but your first marathon.
So for me, the first marathon that I did, like going back to 2020, I wanted to actually going back to 2019. I wanted to keep on. So that's a correction there. It was 2019 for the New York City half. I wanted to keep on running, and I kept on running. And I was trying to get ready for the New York City Marathon. Mind you, I didn't have an entry. I really didn't know people like that in the running community. I didn't know how to get in. I know there was a lot of charity stuff going on, a couple of things happening. But my way to get in was, hey, maybe somebody's going to invite me. That didn't happen. But because I kept on training, I ended up doing... My first marathon was a virtual marathon, which was the New York City Marathon, the virtual.
For 2020?
For 2019.
For 2019, okay.
And the reason that it happened that way was because I was doing my training runs.
Right.
And my training run for that weekend was supposed to be 22 miles.
So this is I think this is the story, right? So where did you do that virtual?
No.
That's not it. Okay.
This is not the one. This is not the one. But I know where you were going.
Yeah.
This is not the one. So for me, running's always been about, you know, finding my peace of mind. I do get bored if I do the same thing over and over again. So this first marathon, I found out New York City is you have to pay $50.
Right.
If you complete a virtual marathon. So I say, you know what? Let me sign up for it. If I'm able to get the 26 miles on that specific day, I get my medal. If not, worst case scenario is I lost $50. I felt good. I created a path. The path that I created actually was running through all Manhattan.
You got it.
So I ran through 42 Manhattan towns.
Okay.
So pretty much, I literally started in Inwood, went through Washington Heights, Hamilton Heights. You name a town in New York
on the streets.
on the streets.
Okay.
In Manhattan.
In Manhattan, I started at 6:00 in the morning.
Yep.
I was by myself. I did this on my own, and since it was my first virtual or my first marathon ever, again the first time that I actually crossed 26 miles, there was a little disclaimer indicating that, hey, you might need to run a couple of extra miles, not miles, but you might have to run a little bit extra because the tracker might miss. And I just kept on running. I ended up running like 29 miles that day.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
But I did do that. That was a training run, and the first official marathon that I did, which this one prepared me for, was the Philadelphia Marathon of 2019.
So that was the first official one that you did, not the virtual. The first official was Philadelphia.
The first official marathon that I did
person.
was Philadelphia, that I did it with a crowd. Again, I'm talking about, I'm a lone wolf. I kept on running by myself. So this was the first experience that I had of running with thousands of people, which again, it was raining, but it still was an amazing experience.
Another raining race. So back to Smin, your first official marathon.
So my first official marathon, before I say that, Carlos, I think it's important to mention that when I did the 34 miler, right, with you,
Yes.
you said to me, Smin, there's a marathon coming. And it was Berlin, 2021.
There you go.
Right? That was my first one. And I said to you, Carlos, how many miles? I didn't know. I didn't know anything. Trust me, the way I got in this is like, let's just do it. So he said 26.2. I said, I already did 34. Let's do it. So we signed up for it, and we both got selected for the lottery, which was godsend.
So at this point, I had already done Berlin.
Yes.
And I was in for London.
Correct.
And I told Smin, let's just put our names in.
Yeah.
If we go in, if I get in, I'll go and do it with you.
Yeah.
Mind you, London was 1 week apart from Berlin at that time. And what ended up happening is we both get in. I decide, sure, I'm going to do it. But in that interim of signing up and all of that to the actual part of starting,
that was during the pandemic.
The pandemic starts and all of that, but also my ankle gets hurt.
Correct.
So and I didn't postpone London because of the ankle. I postponed it because of the pandemic and the restrictions from going to one country and make it to another country. That was a little too much. But then Berlin was your first.
My first.
How I know because I was there with you, but you tell the story. How was that experience?
It was the best experience.
You know what I want to say, right? Let's say it together.
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3. Vamos, puñeta!
So we met this Puerto Rican guy, very nice guy. I don't remember his name.
I think Luis. Yes.
We met him there because, we kind of, we try to, meet people while we were waiting.
Another beautiful thing about the running community. I did not know Carlos at this point yet. I actually met Carlos in Berlin.
Yes.
That was the first time that I met Carlos.
Yes, right.
I know this guy's mean since high school, but obviously we'll need another podcast for that.
Yes, that's a long story.
That's a different show.
Completely. we can give you some tips later. How the crew got together. Yeah. I'm the blamer. So yeah, we had so much fun in that race. It was my first. I didn't know about New York. I didn't have anything to compare it with.
Yep.
The only thing that I could have referenced to it was that long run that we did, the 34 miler.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean the music, the DJ, all that stuff, the clapping.
Yep.
And then when you're running, the community, cheering and everything, and all the bands and everything, it was a great, amazing experience.
was I wrong when I told you Berlin is unique,
Yes, you did.
right?
Yes, it was
Because
very
I
unique.
told you New York is like crazy once you
No,
get
I mean, I could imagine. Yeah, I could have imagined.
once
that.
you get started, right? But Berlin, like right from the get go,
Yeah.
you're waiting and you're already having fun doing that race.
exactly. And then all the monuments that they have there is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, now Berlin's definitely
lot
it
of
was
history.
definitely an amazing experience. Again, this is where I got a chance to meet the shark, Carlos. So this is where I met him. Smin, obviously, we did find out that we were going to be running together. Again, we never even ran anything together, but then we found out that, hey, oh, wow, we're going to Berlin together. This is going to be awesome. We're going to have
Amazing.
such a great time. And surely enough, we did. Got to meet Carlos, which was obviously up to this day being an amazing experience. A guy that has a lot of knowledge, a guy that again, if you're following this podcast, pay attention. He has a lot of good tips. He's been extremely helpful in helping us accomplish beyond our thoughts or limits that we have assumed or put in front of us.
Thank you.
But going back to Berlin, what ended up happening, it was a little bit opposite for me. Yes, at Berlin, Germany, beautiful, amazing experience. Anybody that's doing it, go have fun, enjoy. I did have a great time. I did go with my wife, and we had a beautiful time over there. I made a mistake, and the mistake was that I felt really, really, really good when the race started, and I trained. I trained to do the race. I think it was for 3 hours and 45 minutes. And I started running and I felt great. And I went with a wave that was faster than me. And I was on pace to do it under 3 hours and 30 minutes. We could go into hours, minutes, specifics, but let's talk about marathons.
So while we are in the Berlin topic, right? Let's stick to Berlin a little longer. What are the options to get into Berlin? Obviously, we're getting through
Lottery.
the lottery. That seems to be pretty easy.
Yes.
Right? Because I got in twice, you got in, you got in.
For any beginners, try that. It's pretty easy
Obviously, you can
in
get in,
comparison to others.
you can get in through time.
Yes.
Meaning you qualify and do your time. One thing I like about Berlin is the fact that they have the skating marathon the day before. Remember that?
Yes, we did see that.
Remember that?
Mhm.
That's been in the back of my head at one point. I'm gonna sign up for that. Doing the skating and then doing the running the next day.
You could
That's
do
gonna
that.
be
You could
that's
do that. I
gonna
don't know
be
how to
something
skate.
crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was
That's gonna be something crazy.
and they do the same path. It's literally
It's
the
the
same
same.
marathon.
The same.
It's a little bit different.
Oh, it's a little bit
It's a little
different.
bit different, but it's about 95% the same path.
Got it.
And,
No,
and
it-
that year I checked it and I don't know, a few blocks. But
Okay.
ultimately it's the same thing.
Yeah, do Berlin, guys, is an amazing experience, and especially for those that are obviously we're talking about the war majors. If you're gonna do war majors, obviously Berlin is in your to do list. It has to be.
It's the flattest one you're gonna do
Yes.
out of all the majors. So it's great to put in great time.
Except for me, like I said, I started
Well,
very
that-
early, and I screwed myself up learning experience.
So let's talk about the dynamics that we have here, right?
Right.
The way that he got in, he went in. I wouldn't call it the right way, but like most people do. I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna do things by the book,
Right.
and I'm gonna do I'm gonna do my best time.
Right.
The way I got in.
So when you say the way he got in is you went in the right time. You went in through a lottery, right?
I went through the lottery.
No, I mean like the way he got into running and
gotcha.
his first marathon.
Got it.
and
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have specified that. So this Mr. Speedy Gonzalez over here.
Alci seems to be the fastest of
Yes,
the three.
of the three.
And I say seem to be the fastest
So-
because you're catching up pretty quickly.
Well,
He bit me
yeah,
last
well-
that last one. Hey, cut that out.
let's not talk about that. So what I wanted to say is that you have a very good dynamic here. He is by the book, he's about time and very rigid, and he got his thing, down to the book. The way I got in, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna run for mental health. I want to feel good. I don't want, I want the stress to go away. and I'm here just to love to run.
Mhm.
So I was running without looking at time. I said, okay, what's the maximum they can allow? 6-7 hours. I'm gonna run because I know that I'm gonna beat that, right? Per se. So I was running at the beginning, not for time. I was running to love to run.
Right.
Because a lot of people hate to run because they want to run more than what they can handle.
Right. And they end up doing not great times. So they
Correct.
end up not liking the process.
Yes, and there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, running a marathon is in my bucket list." Oh, checked. Not again. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not
And
doing
the-
that again.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's
either.
nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that you got to think what type. You got to think about what type of. What are your goals? What type of person you are.
Mhm.
Because if you're just a person that just want to, give it a shot, don't look at time. Just
Right.
go and enjoy yourself.
Right, exactly.
Walk, dance, enjoy the marathon,
Yes.
and maybe after that one,
if you're doing one and done,
yes,
if you're doing one and done, then enjoy yourself. That's what you're saying. Don't stress with, oh my God, I gotta run this
no, and
all these training runs and I have to do 3 hours and then you're done with it. So why do you put in all that training and all that crazy time
Well,
to just do one and done?
And obviously not to sidestep the subject, but one of the most beautiful things about running is, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy, is when you go out, when you put your pair of sneakers, when you go out there, and you're doing your training runs, or you're doing your phone runs, or your headspace runs, whatever you're doing, is that, guess what? This is the perfect sport there is. You do it at your own pace. Yes, you could have different goals, but Carlos' goals, Smin goals, my goals, they all different. We have met a lot of people in this community, and every single person that we have met, they have different goals, different challenges, different things that they want to accomplish. And that's the beautiful thing. Sometimes you go out for a run, and the person that runs by you that's going 100 miles an hour, guess what? Maybe that's his first mile. Then somebody that's running like 2 miles an hour, guess what? That person might already be on his 35th mile.
Yep.
You never know. And that's the beautiful thing about this. You do your own pace, you do your own goals.
competing with yourself,
If you compete against other people, guess what?
you're done.
Unfortunately, none of us in this group is gonna beat Kipchoge, even though we got him on a medal on his face.
Everybody has their own goals and everybody has their own training, their own way of doing it. And everybody has their own story.
That is
Yes.
correct.
Just because you see somebody doing a marathon and they look healthy and all of that stuff, that doesn't mean that they're completely healthy that one day. They could have ran another marathon the day before. You just don't know.
Correct.
So just
Correct.
keep that in
And
mind.
don't try to beat anybody in front of you. You know that person started earlier, later,
Yeah.
or
And actually talking about back-to-back marathons. When we signed up for Berlin and we did Berlin, again, we got in through the lottery. I also got in through the lottery for Chicago, the same
I
year.
did that too. Yeah.
The same year, and New York
So
and New York City.
So the same year you did Chicago, Berlin first, then Chicago.
No. What happened was when I came back from Berlin was a tough run for me. I got injured. I did get injured after I came back on one of my training runs. But again, I went too fast. I didn't finish in the time that I wanted to. I did manage to finish Berlin, and that's one of the reasons why I got Kipchoge with me. Because again, we did manage to finish. So Smin and I got the same medal, and Carlos has the same medal as well. Chicago, I had to defer Chicago. Unfortunately, I got injured a week before the race was happening, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna postpone Chicago, and I will focus on New York City, which is the next marathon that the three of us did together.
Right. So at this time, by the time you finish that New York, you guys have two majors. You got Berlin
Yes.
and you got New York.
So pretty much right there, this is the New York. Is that the camera right there? So we got these two medals. So Smin and I, we both got the same medals. So this is Berlin and New York. And New York, I learned from Berlin. I was going to have fun. I didn't care about anything else. New York City was, you're going to run it. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna say what's up to the running clubs that are in the path. You're gonna say hi to everybody. So New York City was the time to be. Let's have fun. This is a world major marathon. It's one that
hometown.
come on.
It
What
doesn't get better than that.
You got your family. In my case, I have my family waiting on mile 22 or 23. My family, my parents, my kids.
So, and we have Eloy on mile 20 with all the guys from the Bronx also, because that's where Eloy's always at mile 20.
Mile 20.
And
Yeah.
we have one of the episodes pending that we're going to do with them. What I wanted to say was Berlin is like the biggest party before the actual race. That's where we had the most fun, just waiting for the race to start with the dancing and all of that stuff. Now, jumping to New York, right? Let's stay with New York. New York is the biggest block party
there is.
that you're going to find of the majors.
Yes.
It's from the moment you start to the moment it finishes, it's a huge party everywhere you turn, right? So, quickly, your experience on New York.
It was a lot to take in. I got very emotional. Hometown, right? The DJs at the beginning, all the big crowd, all the people, the energy.
Yep.
Amazing. And you did tell me about that street, Carlos.
One street, I told you.
Carlos told me, he said, man, in Brooklyn, there's going to be this narrow street. It's going to be like old brownstones and people get in your face with liquor and everything, a DJ. It was like the biggest block party there is in the whole race.
They're going to give you beer. They're going to give you drinks. They're going to give
That's
you
around mile
everything.
8. If I'm correct, that's around mile 8. That's when you make the
8?
turn. That's when Atlantic Avenue.
You make like that
and
left
then
turn.
that's when you make that
And
right.
there's bars too,
Yes.
before and after.
Well, that's when you make the next turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all bars around
Amazing.
there.
Nah,
Crazy.
it's New York. It is.
It's
You know,
very
like even
unique.
the Verrazano and having these helicopters like looking at
Yes.
you
Oh.
eye to eye. That was fun. Man.
Guys, okay, we're talking about New York, right? But let's talk about how do you feel running this marathon? Forget about majors in general. And you go to a city and they close the city for you to run.
The entire
city.
Nah,
Big
it's-
cities like Berlin, Chicago, Tokyo, London,
It's
New
incredible.
York.
Look, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, I have
I
friends,
just got
I have friends
goosebumps.
of mine, right? That they tell me that, the cab drivers, and like, I couldn't go through this street. I knew you were running. I was like, yep, that's us.
Yep. Yep.
And it's amazing how they close. It's like the president is coming and you running and you. When have you thought about that?
So I want to get to one point also. When you guys and I know I want to get to that point because there's a big story behind it too. Once I think that year you said you only did New York and you did New York also.
Berlin and New York.
So we did
year-
Berlin and New York the same year.
Right. And then the year after that, there was Chicago and then New York. With
No. Chicago and London for us again.
Right.
Chicago and London.
So let's get one thing straight. As far as the world majors, there's six. And the 6 world majors, you could do them in any sequence. It's Berlin, it's New York, London, Chicago, Tokyo, and Boston, the unicorn. We have at this point that we have Berlin, we have New York. I already had deferred my entry for Chicago, so that's 2022.
right.
And this is where we get to the point. How do we get into other marathons? In our case, we managed to both get in to London through a charity,
Yes.
which was the Leukemia Foundation charity. Big shout out. They're doing
Shout out to
amazing
them.
things in
Yep.
London. So thank you so much. We did have to pretty much, again, it was, we did have to get, I forgot the total amount, but we definitely, managed to get some funds to support the cause.
Yes. Thanks
Big shout out to Carlos again. Carlos,
Carlos.
he was a huge part in that. He was the one that put us onto that. And again, it was impressive. So now these two marathons, Chicago and London, they are one.
Back to back.
How many days in between?
7 days.
7. Oh yeah.
Well, 6 days.
Yeah. You got to take a plane, right? Actually, we have to take 2 planes.
You have to take 2 planes. one coming back home and one leaving.
And one
One
leaving.
leaving. We had to-
So that week was my birthday.
I know it
It
was,
was
his
very
birthday.
emotional for me.
It was his birthday.
It was my birthday was in between.
Hey guys, that is all for this episode of the Let's Talk About It All podcast. Stay tuned to the show so you can see the next episodes where Smin, Alci, and I keep talking about all the majors and our trips to these amazing cities and venues, and how we did and what we did in during these trips and in these races. If you like the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so you get notification when we release new episodes. You can follow us on Instagram at letstalkaboutit.all. You can also visit our website, letstalkaboutitall.com. On that website, you can see all the episodes that we released on videos. You can listen to all the episodes that we released on podcast form. You can access the contact us form and let us know what you think about the show, or maybe on a specific topic that you want us to cover. And remember, destiny does not wait for anyone. You have to go out there and make it happen. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode.